welcome to Carnival, our special program to get to know each other, learn about our ancestors, traditions, mixes, and cultures. What do the Caribbean islands have in common with the rest of the Latin American countries? Samba, candombe, and steel pan. Tell us about it. That's how we begin. About Carnival, it is impossible not to refer to Brazil. You have seen those troupes, parades, and caravans. You have seen the dance groups, the streets full of people dancing samba. Let's get to know the particular characteristics of the Brazilian Carnival.
Samba schools compete in the Sambadrome, presenting spectacular parades with elaborate choreography and creative themes. Each school seeks to impress the jury with its presentation. The floats are large and elaborate, decorated with lights, flowers, and elements that reflect the theme of each school, making them true works of art in motion. The costumes worn by the dancers are colorful, bright, and full of feathers and sequins. Each costume is designed to complement the story being told during the parade. Samba is the main rhythm of Carnival, and it's felt in every corner. From the samba en Rio, the one that accompanies the parades, to the samba de roda, a more traditional form. In addition to the official parades, there are hundreds of street parties where locals and tourists come together to celebrate in a more informal and festive atmosphere. The festivity unofficially kicks off weeks before with rehearsals, parties, and events to warm up for the big event. The Rio Carnival attracts millions of tourists every year, making it a global event that celebrates Brazilian culture on an international level.
Did you see how extraordinary the mix of culture and diversity is that we have here in Brazil? Did you like it? We'll leave you with this special note that shows us this African rhythm with European influence, but with a Brazilian flavor, samba. Join us.
After a year of work, the communities of Sao Paulo are ready to parade with their samba schools at the Sambadromo and Hembe. For 23 years, Roberta's story has been intertwined with the joys, sorrows, and all the emotions that the Unidos de Vila Maria school goes through when it takes to the avenue.
Carnival is my life, really, it is what I love most in the world.
Carnival is a school. Janti has participated in the float-making workshops since he was 9 years old. His whole family works at the carnival.
Carnival is very rewarding. Every day you work, you learn something different. Not only because of the party, the culture, but also to understand plastic arts, scenography, history, and the message that the story wants to bring, that the Samba school wants to tell.
In 2023, a severe storm flooded the avenue of Marquez Sapicay and Unidos de Villa Maria fell out of the division for the second time since 1954. Its presence in the access group worsened the infrastructure for the construction of the floats, and the budget for television and sponsorship was drastically reduced.
Details are fundamental in any carnival. If you have a mistake, a prosecutor will mark that mistake. Because of a tenth you fall or rise. So it's very difficult to make it. We expect everything to be 100%.
Carnival victories and television broadcasting are sources of profit for the samba schools, as well as events during the year and donations. Dropping out of the special group of the competition can mean abrupt losses in resources with an impact on the budget of social activities such as those developed today by Unidos de Villa Maria. Beyond the carnival, there is a part that is the rear guard of the community. We have dentistry, ballet, judo, capoeira, theater, music. So what we do is much bigger than what happens at the Sambadromo. But the Sambadromo is very important for all this to happen. In addition to what happens at the Sambadromo, Sao Paulo's street carnival continues to break records. 4.5 million visitors are expected in the state, and the largest audience in history, with an estimated 16 million people and a turnover of more than $1 billion.
From Brazil, we move to Uruguay with the magic of the Montevideo Carnival, a well-known mix of tradition, creativity, community, energy that envelopes the entire city. It's an explosion of music, culture, and satire, deeply rooted in Uruguayan culture. The main protagonists are the Murgas and the Candombe. Let's see, you don't want to miss this.
As every February, the Falla opens its curtain to welcome the Coplas, heritage of culture, home of irony and wit that every year sings from the people to the people. The Murgas have a very characteristic musicality, which is expressed among other ways with the poetry of their lyrics.
Ya no somos moda, el malón intelectual abandona el carnaval y nosotros insistimos todavía. Sí, claro.
It's the popular thing. You take a song that is in fashion, or an old tango, or a song of the Chinese, or you find some New Zealanders who sing in chorus and they break it, and here I steal, you say, and you steal. The question is to steal well, to adapt well so that the stealing transpires murga, because that's where the drums, bass drum, cymbal, and redoblant come in. Those three rhythms, those three drums, those three percussion elements is the truck where everything else is loaded. Both murgas and Candom comparsas have their own expressions and aesthetic characteristics and very different sounds. On the one hand, Murgas combines theater, music, and social criticism and has a drummer who harmonizes different rhythms using those three instruments, bass drum, cymbal, and redoblant.
It's really about taking all the rhythms and transferring them to these three instruments. Be it conga, merengue, salsa, even tango, to be able to transfer all the rhythms to these three, even rock and roll, we try to transfer them to these instruments.
This task requires coordination between the musicians, the lyricists, and the artists on stage. The more experienced musicians are even encouraged to improvise a sample.
Now maybe we can let them and show them a little bit of murga, samba. We can do some plena, truck march, which is a very, very, very strong rhythm of murga and candombedo, which are fundamental, the essence of murga.
la esencia de la murga. Un, dos, tres, cuatro.
Another group that attracted the attention of Uruguayans during February is the Candom troops. They are traditional artistic expressions of the Afro-Uruguayan culture and come from the ancient drumming of the African slaves. They have their maximum expression in the Lamadas parade.
It is something autochthonous, no one can claim it when we talk about culture. It's not something exotic as we can see in other cultures. As in Brazil with the samba, they are cultures that have richness and that represent the country more than anything else.
The rhythmic basis of these ensembles is the playing of three very characteristic and irreplaceable drums, the chico, the repique and the piano. Fernando Lobo Núñez is the greatest drum artisan in Uruguay, and this is how he describes Candom.
What it has is, it's a rhythm, very aggressive rhythm to play. Is played with a stick, but it can also be played alone with the hand. Is a rhythm that is composed of three individuals, and each one plays the drum. Each drum has its own size, therefore its own voice, but it also has its own phrase. Each instrument has a phrase and the three form the rhythm.
Both the murgas with their colorful costumes and their satire-filled choruses and the Candom comparsas and their archetypal characters such as the old Emoam, the screwdriver, or the escabero, represent the essence of the Uruguayan carnival. The same one that every night of February turns this party into the most representative of the country.
Mateo Grille, Telesur, Montevideo, Uruguay.
If I ask them, they know of Carnival with red harlequins known as Joquils and with gorillas. If you don't know, we will tell you about the carnivals of the Tobar colony in Venezuela. Imagine streets full of color with red characters inspired by medieval German jesters, adorned with the colors of the Venezuelan flag, bells, and handcrafted wooden masks. Dancing, prancing, and playing with visitors. And the gorillas, a local tradition that adds a playful and chaotic touch with costumes participants who sometimes block the streets or play pranks on tourists.
The streets of the so-called Little Germany of Venezuela were dressed in color, music, dance, and tradition. Hundreds of children and adults are involved in this traditional festival that has been passed down from generation to generation.
German music, German costumes, German food, and well, German people.
How long have you been here?
It's the fourth German generation. 1843 was founded.
I'm in my costume of Joquiles. Because since I was a little girl, I always wanted to be Joquiles. And well, my dream came true.
Inhabitants of the community founded in 1883 by a group of German migrants keep their traditions alive and now combine them with Venezuelan customs. Two peoples united by one culture, as represented by these characters and known as Joquiles who, according to German history, made the king happy by whipping people.
We are happy because we have carnivals, and people enjoy all that. Since what we are doing is for tourism, for all the people of Venezuela, we are doing the Joquiles.
But they are not the only characters. The witches, the negritas, and the gorillas also walk the streets. These are cultural manifestations that unite Venezuela with Germany and entertain children and adults.
Too many nice things for tourists to fall in love with everything, and we try to give them our best.
I saw a lot of new dances. I found them very interesting. The gorillas, the jokilis, which is typical here every year, but it has very good synchronization. I like the parade this year.
This cultural diversity allows us to appreciate the variety of traditions that enrich the Venezuelan carnival with that festive essence that attracts thousands of national and foreign tourists.
Today we started with the 21K walk from the Victoria to Colonia Tobar. Now we are here in our beloved parade, where different cultures come, different municipalities, and well, here we share with our gorilla, with our jokilis, with our grossalai, and well, always rescuing the cultures and traditions of our Colonia Tobar.
With these dances, these mythological characters seek to brighten up the stay of tourists and keep alive the tradition and culture of two nations.
Roberto Hugo Presa, Telesur, Colonia Tobar, Aragua, Venezuela.
Last but not least, we stay here in Trinidad and Tobago. The heard about steel pans, a cultural symbol, a testimony of creativity and resilience. One of the jewels of the Caribbean, originated in the island country. Steel pans are the heart of its music, especially during Carnival, which is one of the most spectacular celebrations in the entire world, where the steel pans shine brightest. During Panorama, the National Steel Pan Band Competition, orchestras of up to 100 musicians called steel bands compete against each other, playing complex soca and calypso arrangements. The sound is deafening but hypnotic, and the energy of the audiences is eccentric. Let's see the next story. The Republic Bank's exodus triumphed on Saturday night at Panorama, cementing the cultural significance of steel pan in Trinidad and Tobago. Steel pan was born from resistance and is a celebration of heritage and unity. Panorama continues to stand as a testament to Trinidad and Tobago's enduring spirit and the collective strength of its people. Band manager of Exodus's Steel Band Orchestra for the past 2 decades, Ainsworth Mohammed, spoke with our team on Saturday night. He spoke about the strength of the Republic Bank's Exodus.
We won the preliminaries, we won the semifinals, so we're going into this thing on a high. Not that we must not take it for granted regardless, because at the end of the day, what really matters is what happens on that stage at 8 minutes, on that stage, not outside here.
Meanwhile, the former chairman of the Trinidad Tourism Development Company, Rajiv Shandilia, who served from 2010 to 2014, was extremely supportive of the Republic Bank's Exodus team.
This entire production is something that I'm very intimate with in terms of the organizational structure and what the end product happens to be, especially showcasing all the melting pots of cultures in Trinidad. Panorama and pan is something that is quintessential Trinidadian. There's no other part of the world that anything like this exists. It's what actually labels us and signifies us not only Trinis and Trinidadian, but gives the entire Caribbean a signature. As much as reggae might be meaningful to Jamaica, instrumentally, the steel band speaks about our people, where we came from, our African brothers and sisters, the melting of the culture and the creativity of using a dustbin and turning it into a musical instrument.
He believes that the future's pan is in extremely good hands.
It's very strong. The beauty about it is that the Ministry of Education and Culture has introduced this into the school. So before this large panorama, there's also called a junior panorama, with the school children that actually play. And believe it, it is at the same level. Most of those players, however, are actually playing in these larger bands. So the continuity for the future is in very good hands, and their creativity. So I'm very proud of Trinis.
All the same, returning national who resides in New Jersey but traveled thousands of miles just for Panorama and Carnival generally, Maria Stevens, said that she believes that the authenticity. Meanwhile, a returning national who resides in New Jersey but traveled thousands of miles just for Panorama and Carnival generally, Maria Stevens, said that she believes that the authenticity of steel pan will be maintained.
I don't think it's going to die. I see a lot of youth into it. Actually, I did manage a pan side in New Jersey back in the early 2000s. And so we have it abroad as well. Right? So it's going international. It's in China, it's everywhere, it's in Japan. Anywhere you go, you can find it. So it's not going to die. I'm not worried. If they're going to steal it, they can't. It's ours.
Exodus's victory underscored Carnival's cultural heart. The festival, a historic release in freedom of expression, saw massive crowds from the grandstand at Queen's Park, Savannah. Steel Pan's vibrant sounds resonated, celebrating heritage. It was a fantastic showing for 2025. For Telesur English, I'm Mishron Robinson.